right. Craig Kennedy and Brian Oliver, thank you both for having me on. And Brian, I don't know you well yet, but we got a plan to fix that, right? But I know
Yes, we will.
Kennedy, and I warned Craig I was going to embarrass him. And I got to tell you, if you folks on this call or watching the recording of this call don't know Craig Kennedy, you're missing something. He is a bona fide hero of mine. He is inspirational. And I'm going to make sure that someday in the not too distant future, we all get to hear from Craig Kennedy on this call. Right, Craig? Are you up for that?
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Okay, so you can probably see the background. And it's good that you get to see the background. If my face hadn't been so dark, turned the other way, I would have had you looking at that scenery behind me so that when I scratch my head or I pick my nose or I do something unawares that you don't like, well, don't look at my face. Look at the light as it's changing behind me, and that'll keep you occupied. And since I don't want to look at myself, I'm going to look at my notes. So again, thanks for having me on. But thanks for nothing, because following Scott and Jeff and Doug and those other stars on these recent calls, it's pretty darn tough. But I'm not easily intimidated, so here goes. I'm going to start with my stories, my product to business stories, because in David Beaver's famous words, we are all paid storytellers. And then after I told my product to business stories, I'll fill in more details of my journey with this company in the hope that someone listening to this will get something out of the next few minutes. So, Juice Plus, wow. When I first heard about Juice Plus, I was intrigued. Back then, I was a serious marathon runner and soccer player and youth soccer coach, and I would never allow anything green on my plate. Eat spinach? You have to be kidding. I was very fit, but I was very unhealthy, and I had the pleasure of giving a presentation along those lines for Craig up in Steamboat last year, and I love talking at length about that. But anyway, that's a side note. I was very unhealthy. I was always getting colds and bronchitis, having had lifelong asthma and allergies, and I was using all kinds of medication, including antibiotics, at least 3 or 4 times every single year of my life. But after 3 to 4 months of eating Juice Plus, I noticed some improvement in energy, stamina, recovery time. And these days, that isn't surprising. Back then, I was one of the first people to see any results, let alone those. And then after 9 months, I had incredible results in 2 marathons that I ran 6 weeks apart. My post-race recovery was phenomenal, and I didn't get sick, and that was a first for me. Juice Plus was the only thing I did differently, so I knew it was Juice Plus that had made the difference. And over the 20 plus years since then, I haven't missed a day of Juice Plus or of work, really. My lifetime health challenges that I mentioned have all disappeared. I've needed antibiotics only 3 times in 24 years. And now I take no meds of any kind. And yes, I am in my early 70s. Juice Plus, how can I put this? It simply restored my immune system. And now, all these years later, we've got numerous research studies that explain why that is and prove that it wasn't my imagination. It really did happen in my case and in many others. But here's the funniest thing of all. Even my taste buds changed. I wouldn't eat anything green. I wouldn't have it on my plate. And now I love spinach and all those other greens. And that didn't take 20 years. That only took a year or 2 before I saw that result. And although I still love chocolate, ice cream, and steaks, I'm no longer addicted to those things. If I send you a link to a short video, would you watch it and tell me what you think? Yeah, that's the last line of my product story, pretty much every time I share it. And what about my business story? Well, you heard some of this from Craig, but well, you didn't, because we weren't recording that. Okay, so I'll repeat this. I am proud to represent Juice Plus. It's the most thoroughly researched nutritional product in history on the planet. After 23 years with IBM, mostly in technical support as an engineer, the Juice Plus business really appealed to me. You know, helping people with their health and their wealth is a whole lot more rewarding than dealing with computer problems all day long. Juice Plus dramatically improved my own health and fitness, so I felt compelled to tell people about it, and soon it became a serious business for me and my wife, allowing me to escape from the corporate world forever. Juice Plus has provided our sole source of income for well over 20 years, and a pretty nice income it is too. Over those years, we've been full-time with this business, working from home or from our RV, more of that in a moment, and we built an international business that's given us the time to travel, and mostly as a tax deduction. That's pretty neat too. And the money to enjoy our freedom. In 1997, so about 7 years into this business journey of ours, we started a 4-year adventure as full-time RVers, exploring 46 states and Canada. And we did this at an age when most people are too young to have that kind of freedom. We then spent a year building our dream log home with our 2 sons in the Colorado Rockies. Now we live in this bigger second dream Rocky Mountain home built by our sons, very close to where they live with their wives and our 7 grandchildren. You know, it doesn't get much better than that. I also have the freedom to run our local Chamber of Commerce, which I'm passionate about because I'm passionate about business. Today, well, our dreams are bigger than ever, including seeing family and friends, and some who were strangers not so long ago, join us on this road to financial freedom and reach even greater heights of success than we have. If I send you a link to a short video, would you watch it and tell me what you think? Yeah, deja vu, you should have heard that twice now. Okay, honestly, those stories are a bit long, but you know, they work for me, and for the sake of this call, maybe it works for you too. Okay, so as you heard, next month I will celebrate 71 years on this planet. Excuse me while I take a sip of my ESB. You could say in those 71 years that I've lived 2 lives. 40 years in England and 30 years in the USA. I've had 2 careers as well as. Can we do a mute, guys?
Are you all done?
Without muting me?
You just eat the cheese up.
Okay. So as well as 2 lives, I've had 2 careers. 23 years with IBM and 27 years now with the Juice Plus company, formerly known as National Safety Associates. And you know what? Both lives and both careers have been fabulous. But let's go back to 1990. Yeah, a long time ago, 27 years ago. So I can fill in some of the blanks. After 3 years living in Dallas, Texas, IBM was shipping us back to England, but we didn't want to go. We were kicking and screaming. You see, they wouldn't hire me in the US. They wouldn't let me resign in England and join IBM in the US. This was strictly against their rules for international signees, so I quit. I was only 44 years of age, so it wasn't early retirement or anything like that. I just walked away. And then just a few months before I quit resigning, we were introduced to this company by my boss in IBM. Now that, looking back on it, that's kind of weird, but that's the way it happened. You see, he knew we were looking for a way to stay in the US, and frankly, his intervention was a real godsend. But let me tell you what happened in the first 3 years in this business, and please learn from my mistakes. You see, some others who joined this company, and it was 3 years before Juice Plus, but some others who joined and who are pretty well known around the world of Juice Plus today, they did very well. They raced to the top in 2 or 3 years, but not me. See, I came out of IBM pretty arrogant. You know, I had every right to be. Just kidding. I left a great career with 14 years of IBM management training and experience. And, you know, in the corporate world, there's nothing much better than that. I was trained as an engineer, and I'd been a technical support manager. And that old KISS principle, the keep it simple, stupid principle, no, that's not an engineering principle. And that's not one of my talents, keeping it simple, quite the opposite. And what's more, I was a proud Englishman. Another justification for arrogance? Not really. And because of all that pride and arrogance, thinking that I knew better than anybody else, I knew better than anybody who'd gone before me, I knew better than the people who'd put together the perfectly good system that they had back then, I thought I could do better. And so I invented the wheel. Not once, not twice. I reinvented the wheel probably 3 times. I thought I could do it my way, a different way, a better way, and it didn't work. And that went on for a good 3 years. You see, there was no problem with the system. There was just a problem with me. Now, the good thing is that coming out of IBM, my bar of excellence was set very high for myself and for others and for my business. So I kind of held on to that dream of excellence. But my arrogance had to give way to humility. And so the good thing is failure, and it was failure for 3 years, it humbled me. And after those 3 years, I was ready and I was more than willing to change. And then, boom, along comes Juice Plus. And boy, was that a change. As you know from my product story, my product experience generated a new real passion in me. And combined with some hard-earned lessons from those first 3 years, and from an unexpected joy in pioneering a new approach with a new product, it only took another 15 months to get to National Marketing Director, to the top. Now, this will sound like one of those stories, I know, but it's true. Back then, we had one product brochure. I'm talking about 1993 and 94. One Juice Plus product brochure, an ugly orange box, no preferred customer program, no direct shipments, no research, no doctors, no tapes, no CDs, no DVDs, no online, anything. There was no internet support. And yes, we walked to school in bare feet in the snow with a howling gale in our faces both ways. Yeah, one of those stories, but it's true. We had to buy product, sell product, deliver product, take the money. We did everything but make the product. Boy, is it ever different today. But one of the good things about it back then was it was really simple. It wasn't easy. It's not easy today, but it was really simple because we didn't have all the complexity of all the tools that we have today. And the thing that made the difference for Jenny and me is that we had no plan B. Our plan B was to go slinking back to England with our tails between our legs. That was not something that we were willing to do. And the other good thing about those early days of Juice Plus was it was a pioneer's dream. I didn't realize, but I am a pioneer. And go figure, I'd been an entrepreneur hiding inside Big Blue IBM for all those years. Maybe that's why I didn't rise above the level of first line manager in IBM. So jumping ahead to 1995, both Jenny and I crossed the stage at conference as new NMDs, each in our own right. And it happened on my 49th birthday. By the way, I do not recommend building 2 positions for husband and wife at the same time. Please don't do that. Anyway, during my speech, my new NMD speech, I quoted Winston Churchill's speech that he gave to the British people during the Battle of Britain in 1941, when he said, "Never give in, never give in, never, ever give in." That was my message then, and it's still my message now. The only way to fail is to give in, to give up, to quit. Yes, I quit IBM, but I never quit this business, even when it got hard. Well, that's not true. I probably quit numerous times, but I didn't stay quit longer than a few minutes or hours at most. I fired myself, and I hired myself back. So again, jumping back to 1990, it might help you men if I contrast the business then with what we have today. Back then, it may surprise you to know that this was a predominantly male business. Yep, quite different from today. Now, there are some amazing and prominent women today who were trailblazers back then, before I joined the company, as long ago as 1988, 7, 9, round about then. And notably, Sharon Rankin and Cheryl Cortese. If you ever have a chance to meet and hear from either of those two ladies, don't miss the opportunity. They're amazing. But back then, the ratio of men to women was pretty much the reverse of today. I would say 80% or more men back there. Now, why was that? Well, all I can do is offer you my best guess. But I think it comes down to a few things. Firstly, and this isn't a guess, this is fact, during the recession of the mid to late 1980s, thousands of men were given the golden parachute or simply fired from the companies, and many were attracted to network marketing, including this company, so that they would never have to go through that again. And back then, the business was much more traditional, old school, multi-level marketing. It really was a get-rich-quick scheme for some guys, certainly not for me, but some people were able to do very well, earning really good money very quickly. And that was so different from today, because today you have to work for a much longer period of time to build your income up to where you're paid what you're worth for the effort you're putting in. Second, and partly because of that get rich thing, it was a recruiting business where most of us bought inventory, a lot of inventory, to get positioned in the compensation structure. And then we recruited like crazy, or tried to take advantage of that positioning. That was part of my problem. I was a lousy recruiter, and I still am. So if you don't feel like you can recruit people, well, good for you. You can definitely follow in my footsteps. And third, even though the products were good, for a lot of people, me included, it was hard to get passionate about plastic water filters and air filters. I was never passionate about those products the way I'm passionate about Juice Plus. But having said that, those products were appliances. They were, if you like, hardware. And hardware is, well, masculine. In contrast, Juice Plus products are, I would claim, they're software. They're more, well, feminine in a good way. And we all know that family nutrition is more the woman's domain than it is the man's. The women are nurturers, they're caregivers, and they fall in love with Juice Plus very easily, and in a way that I think is different from us men. Again, there's nothing right or wrong about the difference, but it's a fact. And if you look at the kind of tools that we have today that fit the majority of people in Juice Plus today, things like the wellness presentation is a great fit for women as a business building tool. Now, don't get me wrong. I do wellness presentations, sometimes by myself, most often with Jenny, but it isn't really my wheelhouse. And even when I do, I tend to talk about the Tower Garden and the research. After all, I am an engineer, so that kind of makes sense. But my favorite, talking about research, is the Cobra study. Those Austrian special forces dudes who took Juice Plus for 7 months and suffered no exercise-induced oxidative stress. Boom! I love that one. And I can talk for hours about it. And yeah, I do bore people too. So beware of that. Try not to bore people too much. So if I'm right in any of that, what should we do about it? Are we men on a mission? We hear a lot about moms on a mission. Are we men on a mission? Yeah, maybe. That's fine by me. But the fact is, men and women need to find their place in this business model. You men listening to this, watching this, you women watching this, we all need to find our place. We need to choose the tools that fit who we are, and working with what we have, and even within the business model and system we have, being creative and innovative at the same time, not reinventing the wheel like I try to, but there's room for creativity, innovation. Women don't work the business the same way as all other women, and men don't work the business the same way as all other men. So it's not just a kind of women versus men. difference thing. As for me, I'm totally comfortable introducing our products to men or women. I may use different tools, different stories to try to match their interests. And I especially enjoy talking about Shred 10. That might surprise some of you, but here's the deal. Shred 10, if you've done it, that is no wimpy program, boys. It demands willpower and self-discipline. So to me, it has a real masculine appeal. But here's where my real wheelhouse is. I love explaining the business. That's totally comfortable for me. I tell people I came out of a true pyramid scheme in IBM. And this one is way better. If I had more time, I'd explain more about that. Maybe if we have time at the end, I will. But given that I'm a lousy recruiter, I still get a kick out of opening other people's eyes to our business model. You know, I knew it was brilliant back when I looked at it first, 27 years ago, and it's even more brilliant today. It simply is. And as for the tools, the web, online video, social media, well, it all works for me in ways that are kind of unique for me. So talking about that, I love technology. I don't know that all men do, but I certainly do. And I enjoy using it. I enjoy teaching its use to our team, those of them who want to learn about it. And Zoom is fantastic. It's the technology that puts us face to face wherever we are. Never underestimate the relational power of face to face. Let me tell you about the Aussies. I was down under with Jenny back in 1999, and we were in New Zealand a couple of years ago, but we need to go back to Australia. It's a fabulous place. But the Aussies in Juice Plus, they have perfected using Zoom to build their businesses fast and effectively. And you know, they're closer to a 50-50 ratio of men. I don't know, it might be 65-35, but they're much better balanced than we are in the US. And I don't know whether their use of technology and Zoom is a reason, but it could be. Let me give you an example. Aussie rock star Adam Westwick. He is, if I remember rightly, 500 club after about 3 years. What? True. He uses Zoom. His team use Zoom like crazy. Almost every day of the week, his team has a Zoom call of one kind or another. But I think it goes deeper than that. How would I put this? He's perfected imperfection. He puts his team up front on Zoom calls way before they think they're ready, actually way before they are ready. Because he's learned and he knows and he's embraced the truth that you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And we could all learn from Adam, because empowering upcoming leaders on our teams is what this business is all about, is vital. And we need to be gently, lovingly pushing them out of the nest as early as possible for most of them. How do we use Zoom? Well, we use it for our team calls, for prospect introductions, for welcoming newcomers, and our fastest growing teams in their own right, they're doing their own Zoom. So they've broken away, they're doing their own thing. Is that happening on your teams, guys? Of course, social media is big too, but we don't all use social media in the same way. I've seen, frankly, little personal business coming from social media. I haven't kind of used it that way, I haven't needed to. So I focus on using Facebook, for example, to support our team with Facebook parties and groups for our team, our customers, and Shred 10 every month. And in this way, I'm trying to lead by example and modeling for our team the way that they can do the same. And now several of them have broken away and they're doing the same thing as they're doing with Zoom. So my sponsor these days is Kurt Beavers. And if you can find an open slot in Kurt's busy calendar, then definitely get Kurt on one of these in future, guys. And if anything, Kurt's even more of a tech junkie than I am. So I often take my lead from him, and Kurt's a big believer in Zoom and Facebook. Now, mentioning Kurt, he is my sponsor today, as well as a dear friend. But back in 1990, there were, I think, 7 or 8 people between Kurt and me. Today, I'm frontline to Kurt. What happened to those people? Well, they all fell by the wayside when back around the time Juice Plus was introduced, starting the year before and then several years after, the company changed pretty much everything. They changed the product line, the compensation plan. They changed everything except one thing. They did not change their purpose and their mission. The mission to this day is to build a stable and lasting company that helps as many people as possible realize their dreams. They never lost touch with their why. That's one reason that this company is still growing at a crazy rate, setting new records pretty much every month, month after month. And you know, we, the Dalys, are living proof that their why, their purpose works. Talk about realizing your dreams? Yeah. Looking at this view? Yeah. No question. So speaking of the why, I asked Craig and Brian to put passion and purpose in the title for tonight. Passion and purpose. You know what? That's what I've gained most from this business. Was I looking for that back 27 years ago? Nope. I was looking for freedom. Freedom from a job and a boss, from a tight schedule that kept me away from home too much. I wanted freedom for travel with time and money to enjoy life. And yeah, today we have that and more. We have what one friend calls the luxury of indecision. Should we work today or not? Should we retire this year? No way. Should we go to the Caribbean or New Zealand, to Ireland or Italy? Well, we get to do all those. But there's so much more. 30 years ago, when we first came to this country, what was I passionate about? Soccer and running, mostly. And that hasn't changed, but I have bigger and better passion now. I discovered my sweet spot. My sweet spot is where what I'm passionate about, I get to do. What I do best, I get to do. And I get to do both those things in the service of other people. You know, every one of us has a sweet spot. And I challenge you listening to this to discover yours and how it relates to you doing the Juice Plus business. Because that's what I did, more by accident than by design. And it's made a massive difference for me. It's embodied something I learned years ago from a little book called The Radical Leap by Steve Farber. And it goes like this. Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. See it as a circle. Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. Because when you do what you love and what you do well in the service of people who love what you do, you get positive feedback from those people who love what you did for them. And that encourages you to do more of what you love, what you do well in the service of others who love what you do. It's a beautiful, beautiful, positive cycle. That idea of doing what you love and some spiritual discovery that I went through years ago in our church, I discovered my life purpose. That can sound hokey, but honestly, it's not. And for me, it's really simple. My life purpose is this. I encourage others to their full potential. I encourage others to their full potential. I look for and find potential in people, and I encourage them to become their best selves. And as best I can, I help them in that journey. And you know what? That's a great fit in our business, whether the potential is health, financial, personal, spiritual, and especially if it's all of those. And I try to live out my purpose every day, encouraging others at home, in our family, in our Juice Plus business, and as president of the Ego Chamber of Commerce, which I have the time to do because of the freedom I have with this business. And because I'm passionate about business and about working for the economy or the economic vitality of our town. Now I say that and I think about that, I realize I work for the economic vitality of my Juice Plus team as well. And so maybe in some small way I can contribute to yours tonight too. And you know, bottom line is this business has given me the freedom to contribute, to give back and pay it forward in new and fun ways, even at the age of next month, 71. So as well as a passionate purpose, I have a passionate life goal. And that is to know and love my great-grandchildren. Now, my oldest grandson is 15. So if you do the math, that means that goal will only be realized if I can live to about 100 years of age. Now, I know I don't have much control over that at all, but the why of knowing and loving my great-grandchildren and being able to encourage them to their full potential, that why is far more meaningful and motivating than simply living to 100. That alone would be pretty selfish. Anyway, the fact is this business and the way it stimulates me will help me reach that life goal, I believe. Okay, so how can I conclude? There are some lessons from my story that I really don't want you to miss. I want you to get. Number one, do not quit your job when you have no other income. Find another way to step out in faith. Number two, do not reinvent the wheel. The system we have works. It works for other people. It will work for you. And number three, do not try and build your and your wife's, if you have one, or your partner's or whatever, business at the same time. If she is already working the business, guys, support her the best way you can. You can complement her with your passion, your talent, your experience. You know, these are all going to be different from hers, most of them. Jenny and I have learned to celebrate our differences in personality, differences in so many ways. And so we work the business differently, but synergistically, you know, it works so much better because we work it together in a complementary fashion. And honestly, you can too. So, final conclusion. 3 truths. Number 1, it's not easy. It's hard. Number 2, it will take everything you have and more. Number 3, in the end, it's so worth it. Now, I could be talking about training for and finishing a marathon. Jenny has finished 1 marathon. I have started 26 and finished 25. And Jenny would tell you that as my wife of 46 years, that marriage is another marathon journey where those same 3 things are true. Marriage is not easy. It's hard. Marriage will take everything you have and more. Marriage, in the end, it's so worth it. So, of course, I'm also talking about the marathon journey that takes you to the top in Juice Plus. Unlike 26-mile marathon, you and I can all be winners. And Jenny and I crossed that finish line 22 years ago. But we're still motivated to help others cross the line, including you. Craig Kennedy, I want to help you across the line, my friend. And in the past, I paced friends to personal bests and to qualifying times for Boston Marathon in running. And now I get to take others to the finish line in Juice Plus. Everything worthwhile in life takes effort, discipline, commitment, and perseverance. This business is no different. So today, at 80 years and 10, I'm as retired as I ever want and plan to be, and I thank God and Jay Martin for it. So once again, guys, thanks for having me, and I hope this has somehow helped someone out there.
So Mick, here's a question I ask all our speakers, right? You've given us a couple things to not try to do, right, and make sure we're not reinventing the wheel. But if you could boil it down to 3 things that you do daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, however you want to categorize that, but consistently and still do, that have led to your success, what would you tell all our listeners, you know, those 3 things are that they should incorporate in their own practice?
Okay, well, I'm glad I have more in this question. But I'll keep this brief because I know I've gone on a bit. And it's not so much what I do every day, it's more about why and how I live my life and work my business. It's more about the why than the how and the what. And in that context, if you don't know Simon Sinek and his Start With the Why book and his TED Talks, do yourself a favor, find his TED Talks on YouTube and watch some of them. But, you know, first of all, every day I try to be myself. I try to be I try to be unapologetic about who I am. I'm known as meddling Mick. I'm never satisfied with the status quo. Pioneering and meddling has got me into trouble in the past, but you know what? That's okay. I believe that the route to success is paved with the mistakes we make because we are true to ourselves, our true selves. And so that's the number one. And so my challenge to you is be yourself. Now, if someone had said that to me 30 years ago, I would have said, what the heck do you mean? Well, what it takes is we all need to grow in self-awareness. That can be painful sometimes, but like I said, find out what your sweet spot is, what you love to do, what you do best, and what you do best to serve other people. And you'll hear a lot about duplication. But, I can't duplicate Doug Barlow, Jeff Olson, Scott Van Niekerk, or any of the other guys who you've had on these calls. And I don't really need to or want to. Instead, I need to be myself, and you don't want to duplicate them either. Do duplicate the system. Do use the system, but be yourself as you do that. Second, discipline. I try every day to discipline myself. Not all the time, and I don't always do it well, but I've learned mostly through sports, the importance of discipline. You've got to be disciplined to train every day, to get fit, to perform, to recover from injury and sickness, a lot of that, and to get out there again and pound the pavement. And it takes that kind of discipline. And again, I've got a tool for you, something to help you with. If you go to teamjp.net/discipline, you can watch a video by one of my heroes, Rory Vaden, talking about daily discipline. And he wrote a great book, Take the Stairs. So be yourself, be disciplined, and lastly, be bold. Every day I try to be bold. And you could call it bravery or courage, but I call it boldness because you can be bold even when you're scared. And having climbed a scary 14er years ago called Long's Peak, I know what it's like to be scared. And there are times when you're scared to even pick up the phone in this business. Even I am. Quitting IBM and putting all our eggs in this one basket in this new country, that was scary. It took a leap of faith, but it worked out really well. So be yourself, be disciplined, be bold, do that every day. And the last part of the title tonight was Man Up. So I say this lovingly, guys, this is brotherly love. This is me speaking truth in love. Man up. Okay. That's all I got to say. Sorry I took so long, guys.
All right. Well, Mick, we appreciate you speaking tonight and sharing your many years of wisdom, right, in the Juice Plus company. So thank you very much. And for everyone on the call, we have recorded this and we will be sharing it. You can search Brian Oliver on YouTube, or in this case, Mick Daly, and it will pop up. But Craig and I will be posting it, and you can look to whoever may have invited you to this call, and we'll be sharing it out there. So thank you, Mick. We appreciate it. Craig, any last comments?
I find it ironic that you mentioned this book. You said you were going to embarrass me, Mick, so I'm going to embarrass you real quick. For those of you who don't know me, I'm in a wheelchair. This is the second time in a week, including at boot camp, that somebody's recommended a book called Take the Stairs. I find that a little ironic, and it's also a sign. Even though I don't do stairs very well, I'm going to read that book.